Hello, movie fans. We're back. We're still in quarantine, just like you should be as well. And we are going to review the movie Onward, which is the new Disney movie that came out on Disney Plus just a couple days ago. It was actually out in theaters, I think, less than a month ago. And then they decided, because of the quarantine and most of the theaters being shut down, that they would go ahead and put it out on Disney Plus. And you can get it if you don't have Disney Plus. You can get it also on video on demand on, I think, all the main streaming apps like Amazon, though it's, I think, $20 or something like that there. But if you've got a family that's, more than one, then it might be worth it in terms of how much you were going to pay at the movie theater anyway. So anyways, we're going to talk about the movie Onward, give you our review. As you know, we do other reviews, reactions, things like that from our family to your family to give you an idea of whether or not this is something you should spend your time watching and in some cases buying and going to see. So hopefully you're spending some of your time quarantining with us. So let's talk about, it's the 2020 film Onward with Chris Pratt and Tom Holland as the main stars. It's an animated movie. It is not a musical, though at times it seemed like it could be a musical. And who wants to say what it's generally about? Yeah, no spoilers, but what generally is the plot of the story?
So there was a little bit in the trailer. I'm just going to set the main plot. Tom Holland, I'm just going to call him by their name. Tom Holland is turning 16, and then he gets like a magic staff that his dad had, and they go on a quest to try and bring back their dad for a day so that Tom Holland can meet him, because he died before Tom Holland was born. Tom Holland being, of course, the character that is played by Tom Holland.
Ian.
Yes.
Ian Lightfoot.
Right. And so there are two, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt play two elves, I think is what they are.
Yeah. Ian and Barley.
It's a magical world. So I guess...
They're the people of the magical world.
Right.
One of the...
And then there are other monsters, creatures.
Yeah, there's lots of types of creatures.
Dragons are pets, and unicorn Pegasus run wild.
They're like raccoons.
Yeah, they're like raccoons, I think.
Yeah.
But then, like his classmates, there's a lot of different types of creatures.
There are more.
It's not just
There are several
big guys,
elves.
pixies. There's a centaur.
So, what would you say, guys? Let's go down and say general thoughts, opinions of the movie. What do you think about before you were going to see the movie, and what do you think about it, kind of, in general?
I feel like going into the movie, of the kids, I think I was the most open-minded. I enjoyed it. It was funny. There were a couple little nods and references that were cool. I kept comparing it to Lord of the Rings. It was, I think, the actors, it was a good choice to have Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, because they're both funny people, so the lines work. The story's well developed, and it's funny, and it's a good film. I liked it.
I liked it. I hoped it was going to be good when I went into watching it, and I was surprised by how actually good it was, because, as much as any movie can be, it stayed funny, and to the plot, there were a lot of jokes in it, and more than I was expecting from it. So I enjoyed it and would recommend watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I went in with kind of hoping it would be good, but thinking, they put it on the Disney Plus really quick, and maybe the quarantine was just an excuse. And I had not heard a lot about it beforehand. So I was just hoping that it would be an okay movie, and I thought it was better than okay. I thought it was actually a above average film. It was one of those ones it had an interesting plot. It was different. It was funny at times. I mean, it wasn't, I don't think it was hilarious, but there was definitely moments that were very funny. The main characters I liked. I think it started slow, but once they got into the main quest part, it was a very interesting movie, and it went places that I couldn't guess that it was going to go. It wasn't kind of a by numbers. I think it was, they had different things, different aspects that happened. I was like, oh, all right, that's unique. I didn't ever think about that.
Yeah, we had seen the trailer for it at a bunch of different movies, and I had zero interest in seeing this movie. I thought that it had good voice cast, but I just wasn't interested in seeing it. And so we watched it tonight, and I actually really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot better than I had thought it was going to be. Yeah, what you guys said, it was interesting, and you liked the characters, and it just, yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to.
Yeah, same here. I really had zero interest going into it. I think like a lot of other people. Like I know that Disney did a ton of advertising for this, but no one really wanted to see it. And so I had like really low expectations for this movie going into it. And I was very surprised by how good this movie actually was. The first part of it was really slow, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. But then after that, it was a lot of fun, and it was really heartfelt. And it really just felt like this movie did have a lot of heart to it. And I was sort of expecting it to be like this sort of like manufactured feeling, like right off the production line Disney movie. And it was just going to be this like plain, bland, by the numbers thing. And it was not that at all. It was a very heartfelt, like family movie, and it was really good. And yeah, it was surprisingly good.
Yeah, it was unique. I think when you're looking for, what is a unique movie out there. There's usually nothing new under the sun. Romeo's joining us this time. He also was there to watch most of the movie. So yeah, is there, again, no spoilers, but what was the favorite thing you liked out of it? Was the humor, the story, the characters, kind of the unusual like setting. I mean, I think all of those are kind of strong things about the movie.
Yeah. They balance the humor and the story well. Like, there'd be a section where clearly there'd be some story and important emotional things happening, and they wouldn't just, like, laugh it off with a joke. It'd be that part, and then they'd get through that, and then there'd be another swing up to the comedy, fun stuff happening, cool things, and then maybe they'd end that off with a more emotional, and then so it just did this kind of curve, an unflattened one. And so it worked well, though.
I liked that it was like the quest type thing worked because you don't really see many modern actual fairy tale quests. But it was also funny, and I think the actors and their voices fit their characters. And that...
Yeah, I think that's... They were well written for, like, the kind of actors, right? I agree, yeah. And then I like you guys mentioned it, but the quest part of it, I think it was, like, you could... and they played into it almost on purpose in some cases, where it was like very Lord of the Rings, and then very like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, there's a whole part of it that's talking about like a game, and the Dungeons and Dragons part of it. So I think it plays into those things without being like, I'm just going to become a whole Dungeons and Dragons like movie or something. It was like they used it as a way to move the plot forward, which I thought was interesting and different than other stuff. So I really enjoyed that the plot was different. I think it was a different kind of movie without being like super complicated either, where you're like, I can't understand how this works or what they're trying to do.
Can I say?
Yeah.
Like they didn't go into the character development too much, but you all automatically understood who the characters were, and it kind of just worked out.
Yeah, I felt like Tom Holland seems to be like he is in like the Spider-Man movies. It seemed like that he's a shy dude. He just like, and it feels like you just right in there knowing the voice actors, you get to kind of see who the characters are right off the bat. Tom Holland is just, he's just chilling in his room alone, and then Chris Pratt barges in the door, he's having a good time. So they definitely go, Tom Holland is reluctant, and then Chris Pratt Barley is just like, he's like, let's go. He's down to do anything.
Yeah, I didn't get as much from Tom Holland just because the only thing I know him as is Peter Parker, but I was getting Chris Pratt as Andy Dwyer and Peter Quill. I like everything he said. I was hearing as Chris Pratt. I liked the humor. There were definitely times when all of us laughed out loud.
Mm-hmm. There was definitely some funny moments in it, and even like some other just like kind of amusing things that happened that weren't necessarily laughed out loud. That you're like, oh, that's funny. Like that's an amusing character, or like things that you're like, I did not expect those things to be funny or that to be amusing and, you know, that kind of stuff, which was, again, it was a surprisingly good movie, surprisingly funny. Anything else to add, Tommy? Would you like?
I like, you know, how actually like heartfelt it was and how it didn't feel like it was forced at all. It felt like all of the moments that were very heartfelt really flowed with the story. And it really, it never felt like we were taking a break from something in order to get these moments. Like they were just sort of forced in there. It just felt like they went with this story and the story was really driven by that.
All right. Yeah. I was surprised to be as, what the movie was, like I was a little surprised to be, you know, like as, like you said, heartfelt or emotional at the end, like, you know, towards the end where things were happening. I was like, oh, like I actually do care, like about these characters and what's happening to them, and that, you know, so it makes it was like you said, kind of it went with the plot and it kind of brought you there. And it's a PG movie. Hopefully that's pretty obvious, but I think this more than other movies have been, you know, this is very PG. I don't think there was anything like there's a couple dramatic moments, and as was mentioned, which isn't a spoiler, is like, you know, it's about a quest to try and, you know, bring back their dad that had passed away, and so it's like can be a little bit, you know, emotional that way, and then also there's a big battle at the end, but again, no more than any other really cartoon out there right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's, again, parental guidance wise, I think this is probably pretty good for any kid that's grade school and up. Yeah. And maybe if they're younger, you know, you might want to be like, oh, it's going to be scary.
Yeah, they might not grasp the whole story. I feel like that's it with all Disney kind of movies and like stuff. The kids like it because it's fun to watch, and the parents or the older kids kind of get more of the emotional story parts. Like Tommy was really like the emotional story parts. If you had like a 6 or 7-year-old going to watch this, they'd look at the dragon running around and be like, haha, that's funny.
Right.
And then they wouldn't really get the whole thing.
There's still plenty for them, though. I mean, the look of it is very good. It's really plenty for the little kids to grab onto, too, and enough for the adults and older kids to get.
I never thought the animation was bad at all. It
was
good,
really yeah.
So, star rating, I mean, I don't know, out of how many, you know, star rating out of 5, what would you give? 5 what?
Phoenix Gems.
Yeah, out of 5 Phoenix Gems, how many would you give it?
I'd give it like I'm going like a 4.75. Like I really liked it. I think it's better now that it's on Disney Plus than theaters. Had it been in theaters, and I'd actually had to go like, you know, pay for it, and it might have been a little lower. It's a great movie. I think Disney Plus seeing it just makes it kind of, you know, it's free. So, well, my subscription.
I'm gonna give it 4.8 wizard staffs because I think it was worth watching.
Oh, all right. Well, high praise there. I'm gonna give it a 4.
It's 0.5.054. Why always that's?
No, usually, I mean, you really liked it. I'm glad. I think I give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4.6. 4.6. I think that was really, it was. Again, and maybe now, if I haven't seen it, I would have told people to go see it in theaters if the theaters are even open. But, you know, I definitely would say now, it is worth seeing, definitely on Disney Plus, and potentially, again, even worth maybe shelling out a few bucks to see it, you know, on demand if you don't have Disney Plus.
I was going to give it a 4.5, but I really can't think of reasons that I didn't like it. So I feel like I need to give it higher. But right. I'm gonna go with a 4.9.
Ooh,
Tommy, you gonna try and beat all of us?
No.
Tommy's the tough critic. He's not gonna.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Oh, so good for Tommy though.
Oh well, yeah, 4.5 Sunsets. It was surprisingly good. It wasn't perfect. The first third dragged a little bit, but after that it was really good. So yeah, 4.5.
Nice. Well, that is our review of Onward. Again, it's out on video on demand right now. If you've seen it or when you've seen it, please comment below. Let us know if you like the movie too. Give other recommendations of movies that you're watching during quarantine. We appreciate you stopping by and checking us out. And make sure to check out the other videos that might be up here right now. And then we will see you next time. Thanks. Bye. All right. Now it's time for Ryan's bad joke of the day.
What did the 8 say to the 0?
What?
Do you like my belt?
Why did you have that prepared, but you never have anything
Oh, yeah.
else prepared?
What do you mean?
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.